Here we are on the next installment of Crow Tribe Conversations, and you might see a familiar face with us. This is sitting here is Anthony Upchurch, and we're going to talk about his business and probably some personal nuggets with Anthony. And we don't need to give the whole reintro with like we have before about why do we call it the Crow Tribe. You guys will figure that out if you've seen the channel. So we're enjoying this. So welcome to the party, Anthony.
Thanks so much for having me.
We're due to get together in person because I have too many people that I know in two dimensions, and there's nothing like three. So get the handshakes and hugs sooner than later, brother.
Gotcha. Sounds good.
The topic today.
I know there'll be food involved.
Yeah, man. Like you said, two kinds of. What do you say? The two kinds of food. Yeah. Deep fried and barbecue. That stuck with me. Yeah. So that's where Anthony's from. For those who haven't listened. Anyway, I want to kind of kick things off, and we can go on any tangent that just, feels organic or just happens. But today, earlier, I had a conversation with Forrest Arnold and talking about, being kind. And it sounds like, yeah, nice. Yeah, of course, you want to be kind. And people, I realized in the conversation, they started, what they're really talking about was niceness. And that's a different thing. Niceness is not the same thing as kindness. And I think it's important to cleave that apart, especially as business owners. And let me just end by and kind of hand it over to you by saying that I know what I do. And in my own experience, I think maybe I'm too nice, because it would have been kinder to be more assertive. Say, wait a minute, don't brush this off. This is important. I'm not just trying to be nice. I'm your advisor. And when I make a recommendation, it's because it's going to make a difference. And if you don't recognize that yet, it's on me. And being kind doesn't mean I'm going to be nice about it. I'm going to be kind of assertive and maybe use a little more blunt tone than you're used to me hearing. But you and I are observers of humanity in different ways in our life experiences. But what's been your experience about niceness versus kindness?
I think professionally, niceness is how you attract and kindness is how you deliver.
Ooh, that's pretty good.
A lot of times, it's the smile or it's the extending of the hand going out and you like leaving it out there and you seem harmless or you seem open or approachable. That's the nice side of it. The kindness is in the education and creating the sense of urgency or in sharing a story. That's the reason why I love stories, because
yeah.
that's how you show one, the problem, two, the solution, and then three, how it relates to them. Because in any business conversation, they'll never say it to your face, but in the back of their mind, it's like, okay, I hear what you're saying, but how does it apply to me, or what's in it for me?
Right.
And so the kindness is, I may deliver the truth to you. You might not be in a position or might be ready to hear it. But when you walk away and actually process, you can be like, you know what? I received that. And then they can start making a decision based off of the information that they now have. Because in the kindness, that's just like cow rearing, you know, um, there comes a point in time where it's like there's a time to have conversation, and then there's a time that we need to get things done. And so you just can't be nice all the time, just like you can't be stern and strict all the time, because then it loses its essence. So the kindness, even with that, or being or quote unquote being too nice, it'll lose its essence, and then you kind of feel some type of way when somebody's starts to say it like, oh, you're a really nice guy, I enjoy hanging out with you. But then the reality of it is nobody wants a yes man.
Yep.
Like if I'm going down the wrong path, or I'm making decisions on misinformation, that's not the time to be nice. Be like, oh, I understand, that, if that's what you think is best for you. It's like, no, I've seen this play out, and let me share, how that outcome came to be. And then, let's see if that's still a good decision or a good path for you to be on. That's kind. I don't need to know you in order to do that. But that's just like somebody that's goodness comes from somebody that's good. I don't have to get in the mindset of I need to do something good today. If I get up and my motivation is to help and serve because I have a servant heart, goodness is going to come from whatever I do, even if it made sense in my head, but my delivery may have missed certain meanings or phrases that that person may or may not have understood, but they know because of the source and where I come from, and they've seen me in action and seen me deliver the information to other people. They can say, "Well, I hear what you're saying, but can I ask you some more questions?" And they just don't, shut down or cut me off.
Hmm.
And be like, "You know what? I'm good." They're still open, and so I think that's the difference. I really think that's the difference.
I feel like you were prepared for this answer, and I just sprung it on you about 30 seconds before we started this. So that is so great. I've got to, it's a good thing this is recorded because otherwise I'd feel like I got to write every syllable down because that was good. And I mean, this is nourishment to me to have that. Wait a minute, I've been thinking about this. I haven't been thinking about it quite right. And I know in my own life, I strive to not be caustic, to not be angry, to not be triggered, but rather to be patient and calm and welcome, all this stuff. And I kind of use this martial art attitude of Aikido. I want to, be able to flow and absorb that and not try to, be combative. Because I've had people in my life who are combative and destructive. I mean, like
Mm,
they relationships. They just like. How about this? There's another example. It's not going to relate at first. When you're driving a car and in traffic, and there's two instances, you gotta get on the freeway. You gotta let's go. And there's somebody in front of you. It's the freeway, and somebody's going 43 and a half miles an hour. Do you? What do you do? What do you say to
uh,
yourself or to that person in front of you going 43 and a half miles an hour?
I mean,
Come, just give it to me.
everybody,
Are you
every no,
polite or
every no, because I'm not thinking about that car that's in front of me. I'm thinking about the car
hello?
that's 80, 80
Yep.
cars in front of me. Like, what is that person doing? Like, why is it such a back? Why is it so backed up? And
Mhm.
then because of the things that I've seen and experienced, like I've passed an accident, and you see the demeanor in people's cars change.
Yep.
Where now,
Yep.
you see people will pull over and things like that. But when you get caught up in the moment, I think that's where I've really learned or I've benefited from being patient. One as a parent, because
Yep.
when you're raising girls and they'll say something like, "You don't understand." I said, "Yes, I don't. Help me help you." And it's like, "Well, I can't explain it to you." What? Well, if you can't explain it and I don't understand, we're at a crossroad. And so I don't know if I need to continue through this or get off the road or go a different direction. And so learning how to be patient, it allows me to pause. And
Mhm.
I think if a lot of people learn how to pause, it doesn't matter what's going on, you know, uh, the whole day goes sideways because I'm waiting for a phone call, and I get the call and I'm all excited. I answer the phone. It's like, you know what? We're gonna have to hold off on this, or something came
Mhm.
up, we can't meet today. And I'm just like, and and I'm trying to get this deal done 2 days
Mhm.
before the end of the month.
Right.
We've all been there where it's like, okay, I got this stuff lined up, I got things ready to go, and then you get the call, yeah, we're gonna have to push this out to next week. Is that
Mhm.
okay? Yeah, that's fine. But it's just like it's not a when we're doing those good things and we're moving, being intentional every day,
Mhm.
those things just start to fall into place. And so I think going back even to the traffic scene,
Mhm.
once you get up to the scene and then you see, the lights and people being pulled out of cars and all that, and all of a sudden it just washes over you and just like, what was I excited about and anxious about and upset about? And you know now the conversation in your mind changes. I hope everybody's okay.
Yeah.
I hope everybody gets to go home today. Nobody is held over, and you know because I've I've seen I've seen some I've seen some horrible things. I've seen some good things, and I've unfortunately been a part of both sides of that coin. And to be able to show up for somebody else in that moment is pretty powerful. So you learn to pause, and I think that's the biggest benefit in it, or I say the biggest attribute is
Mhm.
that pause, because me pausing gives you time to process what I said. Me pausing gives you time to formulate the question, like, wait, did I miss? Did he say what I think he said?
Mhm.
And too many times we don't pause and we react instead of responding to the situation. And now it is escalated and went sideways. And now it's going to take me even longer to get us both back on track, because I'm like, where is this coming from? I didn't say that. Well, where did you get that from? Who told? Like, what? Where's all this coming from?
Mhm.
All because we didn't pause.
Mhm. I love that. It's so simple. And among the things that I have learned, uh, for those of you listening, when we talk, don't be surprised if there's a full 5 seconds of nothingness. My former business partners and I used to just hold up five fingers. When one of them's talking, the other of us is in the background talking to a couple or a client.
Mhm.
Just let 5 seconds just echo. It's painful. It seems like forever, but and even I do this in personal conversation, even with my wife. Sometimes we're trying to figure stuff out. So just like you said, man, just let it breathe a little bit, because if the other person offers a little more, another comment, that's more helpful than, you or I hearing our own voice when we're talking to people that we want to learn from. So I love that pause. So it's no wonder we're friends, man. We think kind of alike. I know. And by the way, when I'm behind somebody in that merge lane, I thought, oh, come on, baby, let's go. We got to go. But we know folks. I have people in my family who they go off. They invent new curse words when they come across traffic situations. Whereas I'm like, wait. We don't know their life, what's going on. So give it a minute, take a breath.
Yeah.
And so enough of that. So what I do want, for the listeners, in this podcast series, we want to have more frequent updates instead of endurance podcasts that you gotta have a snack in the middle of. Anthony, I want you to talk about what you do professionally. And those who had seen the podcast from a year or so ago got some of that, but what's up with the Legal Shield, ID Shield world, and what's different from a year ago? So tell us about what you're doing professionally.
What I'm doing professionally is working more with small businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I still get I get the privilege to not only protect the business, protect the owner,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm also protecting the staff and the team. So
All
I
right.
still get to, address the next generation, by protecting their loved ones, whether it's their children or a loved one that they're providing care for, and those type of things inside their home.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm partnering with more business owners to, one, make them more attractive, so it becomes
Oh,
a
employee benefit.
trifecta. Yeah, so it's an employee benefit. So I help with their recruiting because it attracts more qualified candidates,
Ah.
by offering a more robust package. And then two, I'm helping with retention because they are bringing in quality candidates and offering them, at, a reasonable wage with benefits that, can protect them and their household, which ties into the third, which is the revenue.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're able to retain that potential candidate, you're spending less on retraining, you're spending less on pulling for man hours to have that manager spend that time, spend that first initial 90-day probation. You do that two or three times in a year,
Mm-hmm.
that gets very costly. So the fact that I'm able to offer that to a small business owner is very attractive. And now our services are in the top three benefits that employees are looking for. So the fact that I can offer it and offer it at a
Ah,
discounted rate, it's even more sexy.
so What's an example of a, like, for in my business, I help people with something similar, but there's a, ideally I like to find like dentists or lawyers where we have, a handful or maybe a couple handfuls of employees, or maybe just one or two. The things that I
Mhm.
set up for them work very well. There are other people who only, they got 1,000 people. That's not my jam. What's your, what's an example of a good, you just pick, if I'd like to meet in my example, would you like to meet a dentist office with 3 employees, or is there something different than that?
Absolutely, because at the end of the day, small businesses is what's keeping our economy moving forward. So the more small
Yep.
businesses I can help protect and take things off their plate so they can focus on what they do best,
Mm-hmm.
that's a dub any day.
There you
So
go.
I'll take that win. But I know it's more attractive to get in front of get in front of a company that has 500 employees and you're getting 20, 25% of that. That's a nice account.
You'll take that. Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
I'll take that. But here's the thing. Through one, there's many. So
Yep.
we might be talking about one dentist office, but they could open me up to the dentist association.
Right.
Now we're talking across the country. So through that one conversation could lead me to several accounts. So I'll never discount the amount of the quantity because I'm driving quality every day. So I'm trying to let me rephrase. I'm building profitable relationships in the community so it continues to not only drive business through their doors but also through mine.
Before we run out of time, I realize there may be people listening to this who may have heard the words legal shield, but they don't know what it is. It's like your voice to be, what is that? And for those who, so they will come back and we'll continue this, but what's legal shield? How would you answer that?
A 30,000 foot view is Legal Shield is the Costco of legal services. So
Oh,
by the by
that's
the
good.
law of large numbers, we have over 4 million members, so we're able to offer it at a very wholesale rate. So my thing is I deliver something where you can pay monthly versus hourly. So
Mm,
my privilege is I get to show the offensive side of the law service and law industry because most people think they don't need an attorney because I haven't done anything wrong. I've been
mhm.
served at my front door and I still haven't met the person that sued me. But because unfortunately, there are so many gaps in the system that people unfortunately have used it to their advantage to take advantage of those using that same system. So I get to present the offensive portion of it and not the defensive. The defense will always be there, but a lot of people don't think about the offensive aspect of having an advocate in your corner.
Well responded. Even just the Costco legal services, that's something people can remember and kind of lean in. So I
Mhm.
recommend people contact Anthony if you're curious about what do you mean the Costco of legal services. So for the listeners, Anthony, how would you like them to reach you and get a hold of you? What's the best way or best couple of ways?
Best couple ways. I'm on LinkedIn,
Oh,
so
okay.
Anthony Upchurch.
All right.
Uh, phone number 425-315-6673. Again, 425-315-6673. I could be traveling like I am right now, so
Mm-hmm.
if you don't mind texting, just to give me a heads up because I get a lot of spam. People
Mm-hmm.
wanting me to donate and give to different organizations. I
Yep.
tell you, once I gave, it's like my name and phone number went out to all the organizations. Like, hey, this guy gives money. You got to call
Mm-hmm.
him.
Yep.
And so, unfortunately, I get a lot of spam phone calls. So if you can text, absolutely do that first so I can anticipate and know that you're a legit person that's calling to inquire.
Good. Well said. All right. Final two questions before we wrap up for today. What's
Mm.
the next 6 months looking like for you? What are you thinking about? What's in the works?
Next 6 months, we will be in 20 states. Right now, I'm partnering with another associate up in Canada, so we're building across the border as well.
That's got a whole a lot of tangents there.
Oh
So,
yeah, oh
all
yeah,
right. The
oh yeah.
second question is easier to answer. How about the next 6 minutes? What are you doing right after this today?
Next six
You're in New
minutes,
York, so
we're probably going to take a stroll out in Central Park and find me a spot on the corner that sells a good pie.
there you go. All right, a good. We're gonna have more food conversations than an excellent. So, all right, my friend, thank
Absolutely.
you. Making the time to do this is something I like doing. And for those listening, if you're so inclined, if you don't reach out to either Anthony or me, then maybe do us a favor and put some comments in the chat about whether this is the way you want to listen or. Look at it, I'm getting a good buddy from Massachusetts calling me. I gotta call you back. So hold on, brother. Life carries on. So give Anthony a call. You can also reach any of the people we talk about here at the website nlwbc.org. That's the abbreviation for North Lake Washington Business Connection. And sometimes those connections are out in New York. So I appreciate you being here, Anthony. Let's do it again, my friend. And we'll talk more about deep fried and barbecue in the next conversation. How about that? So,
Yes, sir.
all right, man. See you next time.
All right, take care.